what that means. Ringside Heat is on the air on News Talk Saga 960 AM, your favorite podcatcher as well. Fridays on YouTube. Ladies and gentlemen, my name is Lex Tan, host and producer of this hour of wrestling talk on the radio as well as in the podcasting world. And we're so glad that you could be able to join us here today on Saga 960 and wherever and whenever you're listening to this right now. Heck, you could be listening to this but 100 years from now, because it is going to be archived on the internet forever. That is, if we survive as long as that is a society. I'm pretty sure we will, because, hey, you know what? Humans are resilient. There's another resilient human here that I'm going to introduce you to. It is a two-man ring crew over here today, and it is going to be myself, Lex Tan. You can follow me at Lex Tan Media. You can follow the show at Ringside_Heat. And the guy over here too. There you go. That's the way to do it. This one to your right, if you're watching it on YouTube, at Coca Collects. He is our wrestling memorabilia collector and expert at memorabilia, Chico Nugget. Chico, welcome back. And for those of you who are listening on the podcast or listening on the radio, he's holding up a scowling John Cena right now, action figure. So how did you put that together?
So the recipe for this particular fix-up was there was a basic John Cena that had a more current smiling head scan. This is great radio entertainment, by the way.
Mm-hmm. Well, you're actually
painting the YouTube people.
You're painting the picture for the people that are listening on the radio.
Yes, that was a joke. It was a joke. It's fine.
Theater of the mind, man. Theater of the mind.
No, it was a joke. I knew all this. Yes. Okay. So John Cena, there was a basic figure, and I put on like a hustle, loyalty, respect, and all that hot garbage or whatever shirt, and holding up a cap with the matching design. I don't think the wristbands matched or the armband, because this was like accessories from a different Cena figure. Anyway, it had on like a smiling head sculpt from one of his recent visits. But then also Mattel came up with this Elite series where it was like a couple of superstars in their Hollywood roles. So there was Roddy Piper in his They Live role. In '88, that zombie movie with the shades.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Okay.
So I have that figure as well. And another one in it was what was it? John Cena before that, The Rock in his Hobbs and Shaw movie, I think, with like a sarong and all that. I think later on they did a Roman Reigns in that same vein. But then from the Fast and Furious franchise, they also had John Cena. And he was exactly, his name is John Cena. Abudu. Anyway,
Amado, actually.
Amado. Sorry, my bad. Misquoted. But yeah, no, John Cena was in his role as Jacob Toretto.
Oh, yes, that's right. Dominic Toretto's family.
Yeah, long lost brother, in fact. Yeah, so believable. Anyway, so I switched
Oddly enough, yes.
Yeah, I switched out that Jacob Toretto scowling head scan. I've been thinking of doing that since John Cena kicked Cody Rhodes in his American gonads. So I mean, I've been trying to remember which bag I stored that Fast and Furious John Cena Jacob Toretto thing. And finally I found it the past couple of days, and so I heat popped both heads, and I switched the scowl onto the jortsy John Cena that we all know and now hate.
Yes.
So it's pretty cool.
Well, I mean, to quote Randy Orton, we hate to love and love to hate John Cena.
Yeah, I think you're hearing voices in your head.
Oh yeah, they cancel me. They do. They definitely do understand.
Yeah, I don't know how I don't know how far we're gonna get into the Randy Orton stuff, but he quoted his own song lyrics in the most recent SmackDown.
He did. He
really did. So I appreciate that as a musician. Yeah, lyric lover as well. Go on.
Exactly, and it's very much. I mean, a lot of the fun entrances in the songs that that the fans are responding to in this day and age of the WWE fandom. It's actually one of the currently favorite songs for the crowd to sing, along with Cult of Personality, along with even John Cena's theme that apparently we don't deserve a new one for. So
yeah, we get nothing.
Yes, we do get we do get nothing except 2005 John Cena music, which hey, I'm okay with that because that's CanCon right over there. Pete Schofield and the Canadians, the night the lights went down in Georgia, or went out in Georgia rather, which is where the trumpet part comes from. If you've seen our TikToks,
I still haven't heard that clip, so I have to listen to that song again.
Yeah, it actually happens like the da 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 is the intro of the original, and then and then the falling chords, the falling chords that start off the John Cena theme before the main trumpet theme comes on. That is actually at the very end of the musical of the piece of music. It's only a 2-minute and 30-second piece of music, actually.
It was really cool that the clip of what's his name again, Jake One, showing him breaking down how he built the beat for John Cena's My Time Is Now. That was pretty cool. Like, I love how he layered everything, took those samples and then built the beat, like laid a bed of like a breakdance beat underneath, and then added like the brass line from the song you're talking about and all that stuff.
Yep.
So pretty cool. Like I dig that clip that was circulating last week. So yeah, because it was also the anniversary of that theme song, right? Like debuting on Raw or something.
Debuting on SmackDown.
SmackDown, yes. Okay.
Yeah. Right. In Savannah, Georgia. But hey, you know what? Like every time you hear John Cena's theme song, it's Toronto. It's actually the band was actually based in the Don Mills area of East York, Toronto. So
cool. You are literally the only one I know who's ever linked it with anything Canadian. So kudos for the deep dive. So that's pretty.
Hey, you know what?
Good.
Canada's strong. We got as much as as much as people are divided about the way that Canadian pride should be expressed, and I'm also very divided with some people that I know about the way that Canadian pride has come around over the past few months. I'd say. I mean, I love my country. I love being Canadian. And I love and I love the great, rich history of the music here in Toronto, particularly, and the history of music in Canada as well.
Oh man, music in Canada, man, we have so many successful exports. So it's pretty cool that you found that very, very like deep cut slice of Canadiana within the very hot topic of John Cena. So pretty cool, pretty timely that you found. I don't know how you found that. It always amazes me how deep you can cut with facts. So,
I'll tell you the truth. I've actually had that information in the back of my mind for years and years now, because I wanted to know. First of all, the first thing I wanted to know was what in the world was that.
That's right.
Thing,
okay.
Right?
And then you found the rest of the layers, I guess.
Exactly.
Well, you know what? To quote the song, I guess, or to kind of quote the song, I guess your time is now to use that information.
That's right.
Anyway, you're talking about Georgia. Like, what was the Georgia?
The nights. The song was the nights, or the night the lights went out in Georgia.
Oh, that's so funny because I guess this week. Speaking of Georgia, that immediately brought me to, or reminded me of the fact that this week is a historic week, and we're celebrating an anniversary of the demise of a certain Georgia-based WWF competitor at the time.
Yes, that's right. This year, or today, March the 26th, 24 years ago, if you believe that, for you longtime fans, 24 years ago, it was the night the lights went out on Turner Broadcasting's WCW Nitro, and WCW as a company, as an independent company on the whole, as just a few days before that, Vince McMahon had made the purchase of WCW, its tape library and all of its assets, basically, and incorporated it into the WWE product now. So as Tony Schiavone, who now works for AEW and is actually broadcasting on Turner Broadcasting yet again for the last, how many, 5 years now it's been since or something like that?
I forget. That's a Colin Dodge question.
Yeah, who you should listen to tonight or this afternoon, starting this afternoon at 3 p.m. with his Elite Report on our YouTube channel as well. So yeah, Colin Dodge and the Elite Report will be talking about what's been going on in the world of AEW. But Tony Schiavone, current current AEW, former WCW play-by-play announcer, called this day back 24 years ago a landmark day in the history of professional wrestling. Not a direct quote, but that's the gist of it, basically.
Yeah, and if you didn't, have you gotten a chance to watch I think there was a documentary. I don't know if it was a WWE one or an A&E one, where it was like the last Nitro, and they covered the last Nitro. That's
I
what the
believe
whole thing was about.
I believe I have watched at least most of it. I didn't get a chance to revisit it yet, but as far as I know, I mean, like everybody in the locker room in WCW, knowing that it was going to be the last one, the last Nitro, and WCW was going to be no more. That's a surreal day for anybody in the industry, especially especially one company that nearly put Vince McMahon out of business.
Yeah, and from what I remember from that documentary, it really was an uncertain time for a lot of them, because a lot of them didn't know their fate. Basically, they found out that day, I think some of them, that they were bought out by Vince McMahon and the WWF. So a lot of them didn't know, like, after that night, like, what's their wrestling career look like. Of course, there were savvy ones where they knew that even though Vince McMahon bought WCW and I guess the talent contracts, that there would be an option for some of them to sit at home and collect paychecks. And that's what a lot of them did, the bigger names anyway.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, exactly. And that's one of and that is something that is actually the reason that people attribute to not having a true WCW invasion of the WWF at the time, which I mean, you have to have the NWO come in after the Survivor Series 2001, after that entire storyline was done, because that's the time that they legally could appear on WWE television, or at least let their contract run out so that they can sign a new contract with WWE. I mean, like, you're sitting back, you're relaxing, and you're getting paid to sit at home, basically, thanks to the contracts of Eric Bischoff,
the guaranteed pay, man. That's what part of what was, I think, if I'm remembering this correctly, remembering some things that some people forgot. I think that's what people like Kevin Nash and Scott Hall, like their defection, that kind of historically led to more guaranteed contracts in wrestling.
Exactly. And I mean, if you could get it, you can go
you
for it.
Get it. Yeah.
I mean, AEW, I mean, that's one of the reasons why it was so enticing for wrestlers from the WWE who were on their way out to explore what Tony Khan could give them, even if it was a fledgling company, and maybe even because it was a fledgling company, but it was those contracts, the kind of guaranteed contracts that Tony Khan can offer a certain wrestler in order to work for his promotion. And I believe I believe it was announced this week as well that Tony Khan said that on April the 16th, I believe it is going to be the Wednesday, April the 16th will be the Dynamite, which will surpass WCW Nitro in terms of total episodes aired. So
wow,
and
that's great timing. That is the week leading up to WrestleMania.
Exactly. So yet another amazing thing for wrestling this week, that week. All three major professional wrestling companies in North America are putting on a special show for that on that week. So it is going to be an amazing week of wrestling, and to commemorate tonight with WCW and everything. We'll talk a little bit more when we come back from the break, but this is one of the prides and joys of my wrestling memorabilia collection myself is this replica of the WCW World Heavyweight Championship. As you can see over here, for those who are on YouTube, for those of you who are listening to the radio, this is the flat version of the World Heavyweight Wrestling Championship, the Crumrine style belt that Ric Flair had back brought into WCW, but it's the flat panel version of it, and there is no WWE up at the top of the plate, even though on the back it says, official licensed replica of WWE or something like that. So, but this was one of the reasons why I got this belt, is because Booker T, being who he is, the five-time WCW champion, I had to count that one, and The Rock being a WCW champion, the Chris Jericho being a WCW champion and then becoming the undisputed champion on the same day he beat Stone Cold Steve Austin, The Rock, December 9, 2001, which is my brother's, which is actually my brother's birthday, not the day he was born, but I remember not being able to watch that show because it was on pay-per-view and because it was his birthday. So,
I don't know if you're blaming your brother here, but I'm
not blaming him
that for being born. Good job.
Yes. And him taking it into the Sky Dome, along with the WWF Big Eagle belt for the Undisputed Championship, and Triple H being the final holder of this particular belt as well. So, final holder of this particular belt without the WWE symbol up at the top. So, either way, I've got this with me, and I'm going to carry it with me into the break, because we will be talking a little bit more about what happened that night on March 26, 2001, and what Chico remembers, what I remember, and hopefully you can share with us online at Ringside_Heat what you remember about that landmark day in the industry. When we come back with more Ringside Heat after these promotional considerations.
Under all the lights, with only everyone, he's looking for one single face.
And welcome back to Ringside Heat on Newstalk Saga 960 AM, your favorite podcatcher, as well as on YouTube. Lex Tan at Lex Tan Media, Ringside Heat at Ringside_Heat on all of our social media platforms: YouTube, Instagram, X, Facebook, TikTok, Threads, and Patreon. And alongside me here on this two-man episode, this two-man ring crew, is Chico Nougat at Coco Collects, wrestling memorabilia collector and expert at this wrestling memorabilia game. We were just talking in the first batch of, or in the first segment of Ringside Heat earlier, about this today, March 26th, 2025, is 24 years to the day of the final WCW Nitro. And Chico did remind me of things that I forgot about the original WCW Nitro, because I was just getting into the fandom. I did not exactly understand what was going on with the whole Monday Night Wars thing, because I kind of missed out on that. But I did remember seeing Vince McMahon say that he bought his competition. I'm just like, well, hold on a second, what? I'm confused. What's going on right now? And then, going through the show and all, and at the very end, watching it being simulcast with Shane McMahon in a WCW ring, and him telling Vince McMahon that the contract read McMahon, but it actually reads Shane McMahon. And yes, Vince, he bought WCW, and that's one thing that actually got me intrigued. I wish I saw WrestleMania that year, because at the time I didn't know who I could watch WrestleMania with, since I did not know that Chico was such a big fan, and the rest of our buddies as well. I did not know that, but I mean, what, you watched this as well, being somebody who watched WWF during the Monday Night Wars, not necessarily WCW, but a lot more of the WWF stuff. So tell me about that. Tell me about what led up to this and what you could remember about that particular watching that particular broadcast.
Well, I mean, let's backtrack a little bit here. I mean, I've been a World Wrestling Federation fan since around, since I could remember, as a kid. So I would guesstimate that I was a fan since about 1988 ish.
Mm-hmm.
So I came into it as a World Wrestling Federation fan, WWF fan all the way. Hulk Hogan, train, say prayers, eat vitamins, etc. That uber good guy forever. And then it transitioned into me loving Bret Hart as my number one, as he ushered in the new generation of the WWF. In the meantime, Hulk Hogan was kind of sunsetted out. And then he went away and he told Vince McMahon, "I'm never going to compete with you." We all know that was proven wrong, And Bischoff visited Hogan on the set of Thunder in Paradise, which I watched on Laserdisc.
Wow.
Yeah, no, I enjoyed the show, to be honest with you, but I was a little kid. I didn't know any better.
Was it was that a TV show?
Yep.
Okay, yeah.
It's a TV show, action show. Obviously it didn't last very long because nobody else really knows about it. So anyway, it's just talked about in conjunction with that whole Hogan transition, right?
Mm-hmm.
So anyway, of course, we all know Hogan turned heel at Bash at the Beach 96, but I wasn't watching WCW at all yet back then. Again, I was fixated on the WWF. Plus, my life at the time didn't really allow for me to be exploring more than just the most popular thing, which to me was still the WWF.
Mm-hmm.
And then what really got me to start paying attention to WCW was when Bret Hart was screwed out of the WWF Championship at Survivor Series 97, and then he eventually showed up on Nitro. And so when he showed up there was when I pretty much started watching Nitro. And I found it to be fascinating. Cruiserweights were kind of cool. Alex Wright's a little weird, but sure, whatever. But anyway, you got to have the weird ones like Lash LaRue or whatever, or Kwee-Wee. Lots of random names there. Not sorry. Because there was also Chris Jericho and his 1,004 holds and all that.
Yes, that's right.
And Dean, a play on the great Dean Malenko's 1,001 holds or 1,000 holds.
Mm-hmm.
So anyway, that was going strong. I was going back and forth on it. I was kind of rebelliously sticking with Nitro for a few weeks, a few months, maybe.
Okay.
Anyway, just out of disgust with Vince McMahon and what he did to my dear number one guy, Bret Hart. But then eventually WCW sucked. So even if Bret was there, he wasn't being used very well. So I'm like, well, let's see what they're up to in the Federation. And it was kind of getting to different levels of messed up because both companies were just back and forth, right?
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, by the time, all is to say, by the time the final Nitro rolled around, I hadn't been watching WCW much at all for a good year or so. Since Bret basically got mule kicked by Goldberg, and had to retire and all that. That kind of, it really killed my interest in WCW at that point. I thought it was kind of cool. They kind of tried to bring back Hulk Hogan in red and yellow again towards the end there, but even that wasn't enough to kind of lure me back to being a regular viewer of the WCW, because then WWF found their stride and overcame those 83 weeks and kicked butt the rest of the way. WCW never recovered.
Mm-hmm.
So it made sense to me that eventually Vince bought WCW. I don't know if it was for pennies on the dollar. Like, it wasn't as valuable as it was initially, like during the Monday Night Wars, obviously, like the heat of it.
Yeah, I believe the number was $4.2 million United States back in 2001. So that roughly translates to, in the inflation calculator that I've brought up over here, to seven. So it was $4.2 million back in 2001. Today, that would be $7,571,437. So
comparatively speaking, very cheap. How much Vince got it.
Exactly.
Yeah, compared to how things cost back then, it's still like pennies on the dollar.
Little bit of a digression. I remember when Rogers bought the Sky Dome and turned it into the Rogers Center, right? Because I believe the initial initially in the 1980s, it cost about $600 million to build the dome. And then I think Rogers bought it for like maybe 25 million at the most, or something like that.
Pennies on the dollar.
Exactly. So when Rogers bought the dome, I was just like, this is WCW all over again.
Oh gosh. So yeah, I mean, basically, we come to March 26, 2001, and I had heard the rumblings, the rumors. You know, I was a fan of the Internet Wrestling Zone, or whatever became ProWrestling.com.
IWZ, I see.
Yeah, exactly. Yes. Yeah. Also, we're in Canada, so Z, please. Anyways,
Canada strong.
So then I was, I was basically all the way back to being a WWF viewer, but yeah, no, it was an electric night. I pretty much definitively knew, whether it was through internet news or calling into Starphone and listening to Norm DaCosta, whatever it was at the time. I knew pretty sure that Vince McMahon had definitely bought WCW, but then, I mean, seeing is believing, right? So, the telecast on March 26, 2001 opens up, and we see like a pair of monitors come up on the screen. One showing Raw, the other is showing Nitro at the same time. Like, like they were, the fact that was it the USA Network already that Raw was on still?
I believe. Oh yeah, it was still USA.
It was still okay,
like until 2003.
That's right. So then, the fact that on USA I was seeing Monday Nitro content, and then later on in the show seeing that TNT was broadcasting Monday Night Raw content, like my mind was thoroughly blown, because this was two legitimate like wrestling companies who were at each other's throats trying to put each other out of business. I mean, I would say Bischoff's side kind of was the first to try and put anyone out of business, or at least the narrative of the people who won, the WWF, that's how they would tell it. I think WCW fired the first salvo, but of course you have to defend your company. So then they both kind of were at each other's throats all the time. So all of that stuff, all the emotion, all the crap talk between the two companies, all the impossible challenges that Bischoff made while riding on motorcycles to Vince McMahon to show up on Nitro, to like the highlights of DX pulling up a tank to a Nitro taping, all of that stuff kind of flashed before my eyes, and I thought, what the heck? We have come to this moment where these two companies are really under one ownership. And it was made real by that first scene with those two monitors and Vince telling you, confirming to you all the rumors, all the innuendo and whatever that was being tossed around for the last couple of weeks before that yes, Vince McMahon and the WWF bought their competition. It was surreal right from the go. Now, I don't necessarily remember details of either show, but I know for sure that I didn't really watch the Nitro side. I only watched the Monday Night Raw side. So, I mean, there were, I guess, a couple of moments that were fun during the show, but really the two biggest things to me were Vince at the beginning from the Monday Night Raw interview area confirming that he had bought WCW, and then later on Vince in the ring, and then Shane at Panama City Beach or whatever the venue was.
Yes.
Showing up in a Nitro ring, which like tripled the goosebumps on my arms that night. The fact that Shane McMahon appeared in Nitro with the Nitro marquee underneath him in their font and everything. That was surreal too. So it's those two segments that really like stand out to me as lasting memories from that night, because I can't even remember any of the matches, to be honest with you. I mean, obviously I can look it up now, and the internet like detailing this kind of reminds me of a couple of things. It was like reminding me that Kurt Angle is hilarious because he said there's like he talks about the news that everybody's buzzing about. And then it's the fact that he doesn't have a match for WrestleMania. So he turned it into like something for him. So he was just a master at that promo. Like he talked about how the Gobbledygooker had a match or had opponents, but he didn't yet.
Mm-hmm.
So
I mean, in real life, that would be a travesty.
Of course. But it was hilarious. He was so good. And then eventually,
but then again, it was Hector Guerrero, so I'm just like, okay, it's a Guerrero in the ring. I know it's not his. I know it's not his best moment, but it's still a Guerrero in the ring.
Yeah. Now, of course, we eventually got the great match between Angle and He Who Shall Not Be Named for the European Intercontinental Championships, if I'm not mistaken. It led to a very, very good title versus title thing. But anyway, so that's like one of the few things I remember as far as the card was concerned. But really, it was about Vince and Shane's segments that really stood out to me. I mean, I didn't really know till after that, hey, Booker T won the WCW championship while holding the United States championship. So I mean,
and he was the final match in WCW's history.
Yeah, and didn't Sting and Flair have their final under WCW banner match against each other as well?
Yes.
On that final Nitro.
Yeah, and then they had like a nice hug in the ring and everything.
Yeah, too, exactly. Yeah. Well, if there's any two names to close out the show, or at least to be on the final card of the final Nitro, it would be those two for sure, Sting and Ric Flair. But yeah, no, the main things that stood out to me, honestly, are the McMahon segments. But really, that you couldn't have started any stronger, But then it kind of wrote itself, like it's like you couldn't go wrong if that's how you're going to start it. Like I'm glad they didn't just start with like Taz versus Val Venus right away.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. I mean, cool. There's nothing against Taz or Val Venus, but the moment belonged to Vince buying his competition. So it was just right that he showed both shows on Raw, like to start it off. Like, goosebumps just thinking about it.
And I'm looking up this article on Bleacher Report. Actually, it's about an oral history of the last WCW Nitro, and I think one of my favorite things that they talked about in this article was Booker T and Scott Steiner talking about their future, because Book had said that he thought he was going to retire in WCW, and he contemplated about going to WWE, but then being from Texas, he didn't want to go to the northern states or whatever like that to wrestle in cold weather cities and stuff like that. So he was concerned. He was he was concerned if WWE would be able to pick him up, get him some work. And Scott Steiner, even with his his second WWE tenure, being the kind of the flop it was in that sort of sense, he was the one that assured Booker T that yes, that they are going to be picked, and that everything would be okay. And Booker T, look at him now, King Booker, 5-time WCW champion, one of the great announcers that is still working today for WWE, and people still are cheering him, popping for him, and chanting, "Hulk Hogan, we coming for you," when he comes down to the ring. And that's another moment from WCW that was an unfortunate slip up by Booker T, but hey, you know what? They went with it. They rolled with it. Mean Gene Okerlund just went so professional. He's so professional, just going straight into the next into his next line, even though Booker slipped up, and since he and Sensational Sherry were visibly reacting to it after he said it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now here too. Remember this Nitro was, or this historic night where it was the final Nitro, was also the go home Monday Night Raw for WrestleMania X7.
That's right.
So I was kind of more concerned about WrestleMania, but at the same time, we needed to address the huge elephant in the room, which was the demise of WCW.
That's right.
Right before the best WrestleMania ever.
And I believe it was WCW Nitro just nonchalantly was like after that segment with Shane and Vince, it just nonchalantly went off the air, and WWF Raw just continued on their programming as per usual afterwards. So I remember reading that a lot of fans were pissed off. A lot of fans of WCW were pissed off that they treated the last Monday Nitro, or at least in their mind, they treated the last Monday Nitro as a promo for WrestleMania X7.
Yeah, well, I mean, to the victor go the spoils, man.
Yeah.
What are you going to do? Like, they were already on the, the road to WrestleMania. They were just about there. So what are they going to do? Like, stop for, to quote Triple H in a couple of recent years, the pissant company that is WCW at the time. Just kidding. I don't know if you can use that audio, but anyways.
Oh yeah. That word is, the word pissant is not a swear word. It is an actual. It is an actual term for a type of ant.
Yep. So I mean, I should remember more about the final Nitro night and the Monday Night Raw that I focused on instead of the last Nitro. I mean, if you think about it, like the last match of the night, the show closer was Stone Cold Steve Austin teaming up with The Rock against The Undertaker and Kane. Like, what a combination of names.
Yeah.
To be closing out the night. But then that night, to me, will always be the crossover between the two universes colliding. So that's what that was all about to me. And then, I mean, fortunately, I guess, like, WrestleMania just kind of was the best one ever. Anyway, even though the Go Home Raw was like a crossover victory party.
Yeah, exactly. But yet again, it's like, as you said, the victor does go the spoils, and because Vince, Shane, quote unquote, owned the company, but Vince really owned the company.
Yes.
It was up to him to book WCW Nitro the way he wanted to book it. I mean, like, he obviously left the actual booking to, whoever was employed at WCW at the time.
Yeah.
But yeah, for him to start off Nitro and to end Nitro with Shane, I mean, totally his call. Why not? Why not? You can go especially when your character is gloating over his victory, which he probably was also not in character at that point.
There's a bit of life imitating art imitating life, whatever the order is. I mean, WCW fans who are whining about it, like, well, what, did you want them to focus on Jindrak and O'Hare in their tag match? Like, come on.
Wow. Because that's what we would get in WWE in 2003.
Yeah, not for too long. God rest whichever one, Sean O'Hare's soul, big for a big man to do a swanton, by the way, is never lost on me, and he did a very impressive one.
Sean O'Hare?
Yeah. Mark Jindrak, as we all know, is the sorry you can't be an Evolution guy. So
okay, wasn't he like the third man in La Resistance as well?
I think you're now just misremembering him as the guy who just couldn't be remembered for anything anyway. But no, he was originally the person that was in Evolution and not Batista.
Oh,
so
okay.
They had shot vignettes with Mark Jindrak.
Interesting.
Yep. And then I forgot you're gonna look this up after, I'm sure. But Jindrak was the one with those expensive cars and Triple H and Ric Flair. And then things happened and Jindrak was shuffled out. Batista was in. Of course, Orton was in it too. But yeah. Anyway. Yeah, I mean,
good
WCW
call,
fans, Jindrak and O'Hare, they were on the last Nitro, but who cares?
And when you talk about somebody who's totally not Batista, I think Mason Ryan. But anyway, that's a different story for another day.
Wow, ridiculous. Jose's shaking his head right now. I can just feel it. He's not here, but he's shaking his head.
Oh yeah, exactly. Hey, we remember the things that you probably forgot, and
or should forget.
Oh yeah, exactly. That's true.
Yeah.
But
anyway,
something
historic night, man.
Yep. Something we can't forget, unfortunately, or fortunately and unfortunately, we can't forget that we need to go to break right now. When we come back, we will quickly talk about John Cena and his follow-up words over in Brussels, Germany.
Belgium, dude. Come
Belgium,
on.
Brussels, Belgium. Yeah,
But
sorry.
Also Glasgow, Scotland.
And Glasgow, Scotland. Yes,
Yeah.
that's right. Yep, that's
because that was because Brussels was so last week.
that's true. Jeez. The wrestling world moves so fast these days. Anyway, we're going to talk about John Cena following up and saying that he wants to ruin the WWE and the WWE Championship. When we come back for the final segment of Ringside Heat here on the radio on News Talk Saga 960 AM, back after these promotional considerations.
Under all the lights, with only everyone, he's looking for one single face.
And welcome back to Ringside Heat on News Talk Saga 960 AM, your favorite podcatcher, and on YouTube, Lex Tan alongside Chico Newgid. You can follow me at Lex Tan Media. You can follow Chico at Coco Collects. And right here on Chico's right shoulder, he has the WWE spinner belt, which John Cena which John Cena called out the WWE universe for disparaging it and calling it a toy belt and disparaging the and hey, look, Paul, it spins. But
why
honestly,
why did I put it on my shoulder?
Because John Cena in his latest promo at the WWE Raw in Glasgow, Scotland, where you may have where he may have run into the Doctor from Doctor Who in the TARDIS or something like that. I don't know, but he did take us back in time to 2005 to talk about when he debuted the WWE Championship in with the spinner as Chico is holding on his shoulder at the moment, and how. And how he's going to, and how yes, again, they despair how the WWE fans are so toxic and so and so I guess petty that that they would disparage that WWE championship that he brought into the world, and as a result, Cena wants to give some karma, saying that he's going to ruin wrestling for everyone, every fan, every wrestler, winning the 17th championship, and finally force you to forget the name of the Fun Machine, Jet Flying, woo, Ric Flair, and forever say the name John Cena. He's taking it home with him and leaving all of you to create a brand new toy belt, because the real one comes home with John Cena, and he will be the last champion, the last real champion in WWE. Subsequently, he's got a new shirt that says "The Last Real Champion." So,
oh, of course, as if they didn't have that on ice ready to go right after the show,
exactly.
Or right after that segment.
Exactly.
Yeah. I got thoughts.
Yeah, go ahead.
So, yes, it was still a brilliant promo, but during the course of that promo, when he's talking about ruining wrestling and you're gonna forget the Fun Machine and I'm gonna be the last real champion, that's when it turned cartoony for me.
Okay.
Because now you're getting into typical like Saturday morning cartoon villain threats. You know, it's still fun and it still makes sense within the storyline of it all. But now it's like, yeah, okay, now it's playtime. Yeah, like that's the thought I had in my mind. Not that I wasn't entertained, but then it became like, okay, now we're like back in like pro wrestling mode. That's not as like a real life thing, and yet still kind of straddling that line. So I don't mean that in a disparaging way as much as my face says so a little bit. It just like, yeah, again, I don't know, whatever that means. It just, that in my head, that's what came up. It's like, okay, now we're like turning into like Skeletor making threats to He-Man, like kind of thing. Like it just becomes wacky, and yeah, like it's not really like that. But it did make me think about the question: should John Cena win his 17th world title, A, at all, and B, if so, as a heel or as a face, And C, when? Those are all questions that arise out of this situation. For me, my preference is John Cena beats Cody Rhodes at WrestleMania for the 17th world title as a heel, takes that for a, no pun intended, spin for a little while.
Yep.
And eventually the triumphant hero Cody gets it back against John. And in the process, John kind of has remorse and goes back to the light side of the force and continues the rest of his farewell tour as the good guy that we all know he actually is. That's me. But at the same time, I have heard the theory that it would be great for John Cena to win his 17th world title on his final night in December and retire with it.
So just like he said just now, but then actually do it on his final day, his actual final contracted day as a professional wrestler.
Yes, but that theory was put out there before the heel turn happened. So I think it was Bully Ray that might have proposed that, or LFG's Coach Bubba Ray Dudley. I think he proposed that as being his ideal time for Cena to win 17 is on his last match in December, and go out with it. And then they just, they can do a tournament. Everyone loves a good tournament. WWE hasn't had one in a while, not for the big prize anyway. So it can be kind of a reset. And I don't think that's a bad idea, to be honest with you. I mean, Cena, of all people, I'd say he'd be one of those guys who could retire with it, thus causing a reset. I think that it could work. I don't necessarily want that to be the case. Like I just said, I want it to be Cena gets the title as a heel, and I don't know if it's as soon as SummerSlam or maybe the end of the year, he puts Cody over, and that's the real torch passing moment, as in all of this is to make Cody your guy for the next decade.
And for John Cena, he's a guy that knows this business. He's a guy that respects this business, no matter how much he will disparage, or being a heel, disparage the business, disparage the fans, and complain about making his design into people thinking of it as a toy belt and all that. But John Cena, being the guy that he actually is in real life, we know that that's probably what he wants to do, is that he does want to make sure that Cody gets over, because he's had his time in the sun, as much as he even says it himself, as much as he knows he wants to keep on going and he feels like he can keep on going, he can feel himself slow down a little bit more, not being able to go as hard as he usually does, and not be able to take the moves that he usually used to in his prime and everything. And unfortunately, that's just the reality of life. It's to quote LA Knight, that's just a fact of life.
Dummy.
Yep. But however way it's going to go, I'm sure that John will find a way to make himself, to make Cody, and to make everybody involved as much money as possible, and do it in the best way that they can put together for us in this final year of John Cena being a professional wrestler. And I'm just happy to be able to see this final chapter just unravel the way it is. And whether it's John Cena winning as a heel at WrestleMania, or maybe he'll turn and he'll win it at SummerSlam or something like that, or maybe he wins it, as you said, on his final night as a contracted professional wrestler. The ride's going to be amazing with John Cena, because because he's proven himself. As much as people have disparaged him, let's go Cena sucks, he's proven himself time and time and time and time again. And
okay, let me just put a bow on my part of it.
Yes,
if you don't mind. Sorry to
go ahead. No, go ahead.
So yeah, like you said, Cena is the type of guy who, and he said it time and time again, he wants to put the next generation or the next top guy or guys over, right? Like, I really think with the way this is playing out, this is the company and in effect John Cena's way of really, really, really like strapping the rocket onto Cody's back, because Cody is the company guy. I don't know how much Roman Reigns has in terms of full-time like gas in his tank. We all know he's got like latent health issues that thankfully are in remission, right?
Yes.
But of course, I think he's a little closer to the twilight of his career than Cody is. I think. I don't know that. Actually, I don't know that. Let's strike that a little bit, but I mean, it could be. But I think that Cody is the guy that they gotta really, like, they gotta back him, like, and they gotta continue that momentum. And yes, he's already the top guy now, but what would really solidify him as an all-time great, an icon in this business, is if John does exactly what he's doing now. Take Cody for a ride, and like using the heel turn that they never gave him to do that, to build up the number one guy for the future, which is Cody Rhodes. That's what I think this all is. But it kind of makes me sad on a side note, because now I really believe that we can't see Cena versus Joe Hendry anymore because of this. This is a very, very small side thing. But I think all of this is to make sure that without any doubt that Cody Rhodes is the guy.
And I mean, The Rock as well, just his role in inching this along, even though it wasn't his original plan last year, inching this along so that John Cena can be the one to run with this. I think at least that's what it looks like to me, being that The Rock hasn't been around, and he'll probably show up at on the week of WrestleMania, and that's about and at WrestleMania itself.
Yeah. And did you notice that now the bloodline is kind of shelved at the moment? Like there's nothing directly doing with the bloodline in terms of the stories that are on the top priority or anything like that. It's still there. But I think it's backburnered for now, because they know they can keep coming back to that. But they have this golden opportunity with Cena saying he'll be here for like 30 some odd dates. So they got to use it, and they're doing such beautiful work right now.
Definitely. Ringside Heat on Newstalk Saga 960 AM, your favorite podcatcher, and on YouTube. We've run out of time here on the radio side, and I just want you to make sure that you're tuning in to Colin Dodge's Elite Report that's coming up on our YouTube page at ringside_heat momentarily. We're 22 days away from WrestleMania, and it is going to be an amazing ride from here on in. Thank you to Chico. Thank you to you for listening here on Newstalk Saga 960, and we'll be back here next week with more great wrestling talk. Ringside Heat, we remember the things that you probably forgot.